The 50th Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, has been in the eye of the storm lately for certain public remarks he made. One such remark was regarding the Ayodhya judgment when he said that he had appealed to the God to help him with the solution to the long-standing dispute. He has also been criticized for allocation of certain bail matters to certain benches. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited his residence in September to participate in the Mahalakshmi and Ganapati Puja, sparking a crucial debate over the separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary. The event was televised, leading to criticism. Many of his judgments have also been condemned for not taking the executive to task. Sworn in as the 50th Chief Justice of India 2 years ago, CJI Chandrachud had taken over from former CJI Uday Umesh Lalit. He was the longest serving CJI since the retirement of CJI KG Balakrishnan in May 2010. DYC followed in the footsteps of his father YV Chandrachud, who served as the CJI with the longest tenure between 1978 and 1985, the only instance of a father and son occupying the highest seat in the highest court of India. The son, who studied in Delhi's Stein Stephens College and Campus Law Center and then went to get an LLM degree and a doctorate from the Harvard Law School, became Chief Justice on November 9, 2022. His elevation to the Supreme Court took place on May 13, 2016. Days before his retirement, Mr. D.Y. Chandrachud was seen talking of and worrying about the legacy he will leave behind when he retires from the job. Well, of course, Mr. Chandrachud was elevated to this position at perhaps the most critical juncture in the nation's recent history, when every democratic and humanist principle was being crushed under an authoritarian government. When all his last four predecessors had let down the country and had walked away from their positions with post-retirement benefits, never before had the nation nurtured such high expectation and vested so much hope into the Chief Justice chair. So will Mr. Chandrachud's legacy be one of the savior, or that he to let the nation down? Let's look in this video. As his critics say, Justice Chandrachud had many opportunities to do the right thing, to restore the autonomy of Election Commission, to prohibit arbitrary and unconstitutional bulldozing by state governments in Assam, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal, Haryana and Rajasthan, to address allegation of illegal surveillance of citizens using Pegasus malware, to restore legitimately elected governments brought down by totally illegal means, as seen in Maharashtra's assembly polls, and to question an unaccountable election commission on its dubious actions and decisions. For example, alleged mishandling of VVPATs, delays in uploading voter counts, failure to issue from 17C, mismatch in the vote cast and votes counted. The Supreme Court further failed to take action under the Model Code of Conduct against high functionaries of the government. Under his watch, thousands of social activists, journalists, dissenters, academics continue to languish in jail without a trial or even bail. Student leader Umar Khalid's bail petitions have been adjourned 14 times, with a succession of judges recusing themselves without any explanation. The alleged Koregaon conspiracy accused were released on bail in installments, as if the justice was a divisible commodity which can be served in proportions. Some of them even died as a result of inhuman treatment meted out to them while in the custody. The most recent being Professor G.N. Sai Baba, a man with 90% disability who was kept in jail for almost a decade without being convicted of any offence. Not a single government functionary has actually been punished under his tenure. Not even the returning officer of Chandigarh mayoral election, who was caught red-handed in an electoral cheat in an official video. Not the encounter specialist, the bulldozer bureaucrats or the regulatory agencies like CBI and ED, even when the court held arrest in certain cases to be illegal, both procedurally and on merits. During the Chandigarh election controversy, CJI said that the election officer is a criminal, but he did not ensure any action against him. Similarly, he called the Shinde, Fadnavasi, Ajit Pawar government and their governor illegal, but failed to take any action against them. In 2019, when the Ayodhya verdict was delivered, Mr. D.Y. Chandrachud was part of the 5-judge bench, which was headed by then Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi. On November 9th, they passed a 1045-page judgment. The judgment that came after 70 years of litigation and political upheavals, and meant to finally close this, was anything but ordinary, with many historians and concerned citizens describing it as unholy and bizarre. The verdict was kept anonymous because the five-judge bench anonymously decided that it would be a judgment of the court and not attributed to any individual judge. This was the first time in India that a Supreme Court judgment was not attributed to its authors. All five judges, after they delivered the verdict, went to a luxury hotel in Delhi to celebrate it with the most expensive wine as revealed in Justice for the Judge, an autobiography book by Ranjan Gogoi. Soon after their retirements, 3 out of the 5 judges were offered prestigious posts as Rajya Sabha member, University Chancellor, and Governor of State. Many saw the Supreme Court's judgment as tactic approval that empowered the Modi government to pursue its border agenda in its second term. Subject matter experts and the media persons described the verdict as a landmark shift in judiciary's alignment with the Hindu right and by large the government. The decision, many claim, has opened the door for increasingly aggressive campaigns by the Hindu right aimed erasing Muslim heritage in India. On 5th August 2019, withhold consulting any of the stakeholders or giving any notice to Parliament, the Government of India revoked Jammu and Kashmir's special status and enforced a clampdown on freedoms, including an internet shutdown for over a year and the house arrest of the state's political leaders. Till date, over 20 petitions remain unheard in the court challenging the unlawful abrogation. The same fate has met the dozens of habeas corpus petitions filed by the numerous Kashmiri leaders remaining in prolonged detention. In December 2019, the government passed a controversial amendment to the Citizenship Act of 1955, which, according to several law and policy makers, lays the groundwork for the disfranchisement of Muslims. More than 200 petitions challenging the amendment's constitutionality still await a hearing. Following this, in February 2020, communal violence erupted in Delhi amidst protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act, during which the event filmiest evidence was used to charge student leaders and activists, many of whom still languishing in jail. Similarly, the Hindenburg and Pegasus inquiries in the Supreme Court were never followed up to their logical conclusion. Also, the electoral bonds judgment was hastily shut by the court. Later in August 2023, in handling the Ganwapi Mosque case involving Hindu plaintiffs seeking worship rights within the mosque in Varanasi, the Supreme Court undermined the Places of Worship Act, with CJI Chandrachud himself allowing a controversial scientific survey of the mosque to take place on August 4, 2023. Also, Chandrachud often supported capitalist and colonial forces, going against transparency and right of the marginalized. He addressed electoral bonds as illegal and then ensured the suspicious transaction and safety of those who were involved in the scam. On the other hand, in the Hindenburg matter, he gave clean chit to Adani Enterprises. He also observed largely silence the gradual politicization of certain high courts where judges have openly demonstrated religious biases in their rulings, declared affiliations, and in some cases joined political parties or stood for election soon after retirement. As Chief Justice, Chandrachud may not be directly responsible for all these actions. However, as the head of the institution, he carried an institutional responsibility. On November 10th, as he left the office, critics pointed his frequent advocacy of high ethical and moral standards, which at times seemed inconsistent with his decisions. For many, Chandrachud's legacy will likely be remembered less for his lofty ideals and more for the troubling precedents he set during a time marked by the judiciary's quiet submission to executive power. As his critics say, the CJA will be remembered for co-writing or co-authoring the Babri Masjid judgment and then not having the courage to sign the judgment. Instances of selective case assignments favoring the government, weakening the collegium's resistance to political influence, and ruling the subtly open doors for the executive painted a portrait of judiciary retreating from its role as a check on power, while publicly maintaining a progressive image.